we move on to our next session of the day, which is our third interesting panel session. Customer onboarding and digital KYC, very, very important and crucial aspect for the NBFCs, and how this is transforming the credit experience for the NBFCs in India. So without taking further time of yours, please help me welcome the honorable panel members on the stage, and please help me welcome them with a big round of applause. Joining us first, Mr. Dominic Vijay Kumar, CTO from Art Housing Finance. A big round of applause to Dominic ji. Welcome to the panel, sir. Please have your seat. Joining next, we have Dr. N. Raveendran, CIO from Sakthi Finance. A big round of applause to Dr. Raveendran. Welcome to the panel, sir. Please have your seat. Joining next, we have Mr. Jitendra Jadhwani, Head Corporate Excellence and CISO from Tata Motors Finance. A big round of applause to Jitendra Jadhwani ji. Jitendra ji, welcome to the panel. Please have your seat, sir. Joining next, we have Mr. Akshay Yadava, Director from UIDAI. A big round of applause to Akshay ji. Akshay ji, welcome to the panel. Please have your seat, sir. Joining next, we have Ms. Hani Jagyasi, Head of Digital Products AMC Platform, Edelweiss Asset Management. A big round of applause to Ms. Hani Jagyasi. Welcome to the panel, madam. Please have your seat. And now, ladies and gentlemen, would like to call the honorable panel moderator for this session, Mr. Sumit Sharma, Founder and Director from Radian Finserv. A big round of applause to Sumit ji. Welcome to the panel, sir. Please have your seat. And Sumit ji, all over to you. Looking forward to a great session.
Thank you. Hi everyone, good afternoon. So we will talk a little bit about the customer experience and customer journey. Our topic is customer onboarding and digital KYC, transforming the credit and experience. Actually, before we start, if I could just request my co-panel members to briefly introduce themselves, just to give you an idea of what they are doing, what each one of us is doing, and what we currently represent. So maybe since you are sitting furthest from me, Akshay, I'll ask you to start.
Yeah, good afternoon. I think we all made it a point to settle this roundtable chairs in a manner that we had the lady in the center and we had the anchor on the extreme left and the anchor is pivoting to me. So apologies, just to keep it a bit informal. Lovely set of panelists. I'm sure you'll get to know each one of them. I'm Akshay Yadav. I look after basically the Aadhaar operations in Maharashtra and Goa. And I look after the authentication aspect with the financial sector, that is banks, insurance companies, and fintechs. In addition, my vertical also monitors the direct benefit transfer, which reaches the masses, and hence I will take a cue again. Most of my comments will be related to people beyond tier 2 and 3, and this is a point that I have been kind of harping on quite regularly in our informal discussions as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Akshay. Raveendran?
Good afternoon. Myself, I am Dr. Raveendran. I am representing a mid-level non-banking finance company called Sakthi Finance Limited, based out of Coimbatore. I am in this segment for the past 16-17 years. Predominantly, I handle the digital transformation activities of my NBFC strategic initiatives and information security. I think it's almost all the activities, using a team, I am handling.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. But before we say who we are you all mentally there? I believe only 3-4 voices came. Can we have a bigger round of applause for us to know you are awake? Thank you. No, I was saying so because if you are not, then you will miss these golden gems sitting on the table, because I have met them half an hour ago and they really are awesome. I am Jitendra Jadhwani with Tata Motor Finance, currently as a CISO and head CSR and head corporate excellence. But before that, that doesn't qualify me to be here. What qualifies me to be here is that I have been a 20-year CIO, and I've had multiple experiences on working on LOS platform redesigning in the past 15 years. So I would be glad to share my experiences as we go along.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I hope you all had a very good lunch. So, my name is Jagyasi, and I'm from Edelweiss Mutual Fund, and I lead all digital platforms here. And I have overall 16 years of experience working into software development. So I started my career being a software developer after completing engineering, and surprisingly, my role is working directly with business teams now. So I have myself transformed over all these years, and my job is now to transform the whole organization, all digital initiatives which are a part of my space. So looking forward for this conversation. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Hani.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dominic. I'm the Chief Technology Officer for an affordable housing finance company based out of Gurgaon, Art Housing Finance. We are a mid-segment company operating more on the western and the northern part of India. And our focus area is semi-urban and rural customers. And I come with 20 plus of experience with multi-domain, where I career started with hospitality, aviation, now with the financial industry. It's been 10 years I'm in the financial industry. So as a CTO, my main KR is to drive the digital technology, IT governance, then cyber security, which is part of my this one. That's all.
Thank you, Dominic. My name is Sumit. This is the second time I'm introducing myself, but for the sake of completeness, I will just go through my background again. I have been in the banking and financial services space, so I'm not directly qualified to be making as intelligent comments as my panel members, and hence I think I've been given the easier task of just asking questions. That's what I'll do. I used to work for a bank called HSBC. With them, I worked in various parts of the world, including India, UK, Hong Kong, Singapore, and some other places. I came back to India about 10 years ago. I had started a microfinance company about 6 years ago. Microfinance is notorious for not adopting to technology very well. Again, that therefore does not qualify me to be here. But more recently, I started a company called Radian Finserv, where we do MSME and gold lending. So what we'll do is go through some of the key aspects of the topic that is in front of us. It's essentially transferring the credit and experience. I thought we'll talk about it through two key prisms on how it helps the organization, it's a lender, and how it helps the experience of the customer, the borrower. We also thought it would be useful to look at some snippets from the panel members on how this might be relevant and useful from a practitioner's perspective, which is everybody hopefully sitting in this room. What if there might be any takeaways and so on. So let me just, without further ado, and Hani, if I could start with you, since on the basis of ladies first. First and foremost, why do you think digital customer onboarding is crucial or important for the NBFC industry? I think there's a comment that technology is affecting everything and making inroads into every industry. But where specifically for the NBFC cohort is it relevant?
So, as we all know, being digitally, especially after COVID, it becomes very, very important in terms of, we realized, what were we lacking before COVID. I mean, very few companies, they were, their processes were digitally available or their business was digitally available. But post COVID, they actually realized being digital and on this thing, how our platforms and application have to be online and our processes have to be online, so that business enablement doesn't stop because of all these pandemics whichever happened. Not only NBFC, but I would say every industry is paying a equal attention. Like for the departments, they are taking care of business, sales. Being digital and technologically available is also a part of every company is putting their budget resources and putting lot of money in terms of being digitally available. Being digitally available, it means you can log in your business online you can actually enable the business online through applications which you built it. So being digitally available is very, very crucial for every industry. They are putting a lot of budget around it. They have some transformation projects going on, and it's a lot of in terms of the companies have to be digitally available is what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
So companies need to do this, and you mentioned particularly after COVID, this has become not just a trend, but a necessity and importance. Akshay, if I could bring you in, you talked about tier 2, tier 3 and beyond cities. How do you see digital KYC helping the onboard customers faster through a automated credit check or immediate response or real-time onboarding and so on and so forth? Answer it through the prism of beyond the metro, beyond Bombays and Bangalore's and Delhi's of the world, on how this is working.
Okay, so couple of points, very straightforward. We are in 1 and 2. Education is kind of a primary driving factor, and we are getting access to anything and everything. So this conference being one of them, where we are discussing digitization as a process itself. Beyond tier 2, digitization still is something which is dependent on somebody within my family having access to a mobile or a laptop and being aware or having knowledge how to operate it. We must understand that the moment we go to areas which the august members, the companies that they represent, kind of want to make inroads to, are the unserved sections, which is the areas where we want to make inroads to. So what we facilitate from a point of view is what? The identity validation. The time in terms of being taken with regards to physical documents being produced, those being checked by somebody, has now been done away with a little bit of variation in terms of digitization of the journey in terms of OTP auth or biometric authentication. The second part is that for any of these credit services to be then extended to people, the first identity validation, if it doesn't take place, the whole journey itself cannot start. So from this perspective, I would say that this is what is essential for each one of us to factor in.
Thank you. Just before we go forward, I know one small break that we will have to take as we go along, and that's because Hani Jagyasi would need to leave, I believe, in about 10 to 15 minutes. So we will try and bring you in for a couple of conversations. But I just wanted to mention, she has a meeting which she needs to attend. Jitendra, if I could ask you to talk through your experience. You've been in this field for some time. You've been a CTO for a fairly long period of time. You've seen multiple changes. How does the credit processing time? How has the credit processing time changed over the years? I mean, it's a loaded question. It's obviously come down. But what are the sort of factors that have gone in, and how have you seen it work in the people that you work with?
Thanks. If you look at the digital transformation, apart from getting your data in at the speed of a lightning because of the customer doing it on loan, the most important aspect, as you have mentioned and correctly so, is the credit evaluation. See, the money is always available, money is always wanted by people. But are we giving to the people who will return it back? Is the biggest question mark in any finance company. So earlier, when the traditional methods were there, you were giving your KYC document, they will go and get your bank statement, they will get your ITR, and they will pour all over your data in a limited manner, whatever they could, and take a decision either to give, not to give, and how much to give. But in today's world, with so much of automation has happened, by just merely giving my basically the KYC information, which will also get verified automatically. So there is no chance of you being a fraud, because if you are giving a KYC information, it gets verified by the APIs at the back end of Government of India and the India stack, and you are authenticated to be a right person because you also have a biometric. Then comes all, as we all know, that income tax return, bank statements, all the property documents, all are computerized. So there's a huge information base available at the back end on the digital media which can be accessed by anybody who wants to give a lending by any lender. And this is what has changed. You give the KYC document which gets verified at the back end to be an authentic one, and then the system goes and does the spawning of all the information about the proposed lender, and then the data is analyzed using algorithms of digital of analytics, and then you also apply the AI principles to say what is the possibility of default with all the financial information available now to the lender, and then you take a decision automatically or with a limited manual intervention about extending the loan. So this is a major change which has happened, that you have lots of information available because of digitization and the efforts of the government of India of all that information now being available on a digital platform and the APIs being available for consumption by the lenders. And this then makes it much more secured way of lending as compared to earlier days when lots of information was manual and you could make mistakes across because the credit managers are what is operating in Chennai is different what is operating in Mumbai. So you always had the default of a locational disadvantage, but now with a uniform system of evaluation, decision and communication, it is a common policy which is getting operating, and with all the information the chances of going low or wrong are very limited.
No, that's very useful. Raveendran, if I could just ask you as well, to share your through the prism of your experience, the same question essentially, as to how the time taken to this has changed, and what are the qualitative improvements that have been made, particularly at the start of the journey. Think of it also from the perspective of the customers.
This is a very valid question, Sumit, in all perspectives. Customers' expectations are now totally changed. I think when they approach us, I think they expect the loan to be sanctioned within no time. It's not like earlier we used to take honestly 1 week and all even to tell where we are going, etc. But now the customer expectation is the very key. And like my fellow panelists mentioned, I think customers' data availability is more or less open. It's not like we have to gather the information from them by sending so many requests, and in different forms we get manual form, we can scan it and then send it to a centralized department and do it and all. See, nowadays it is all available, I think online. You take Aadhaar, PAN, you name anything, Parivahan, I think even customer bank statements are available. So all the statements are now available, all details are available, and then I think the system nowadays is capable. I think we have tied up with agencies so that API calls will do. Your LOI system will take care of that, and then it will bring everything together. And even many systems they'll give a score. It's a sort of how much based on multiple parameters. Even they use some AI ML algorithms, and they'll give a score also for the purpose of enabling it. So this makes that loan disbursement faster. I think that's why instead of days now it's all coming to hours sort of thing. So that gives the benefit to the customer, and that trust, efficiency, and the fraud are minimized, because I know there are many cases like engine number, chassis number and all, it will come wrongly, and that all now fed. There are agencies they'll get detected in the beginning stage itself, and even the first stage of when they're coming inside while doing the initial onboarding itself, we'll come to know whether the customer is genuine or not. So this is the way things are moving, so that I think it will be very effective, and it will be beneficial, and it is risk aversive, and later on default case on payment can be totally minimized.
Great. Um, Dominic, I think there is no discussion on technology or digitization which is complete without the um, inclusion of AI, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and so on. I mean, in our lifetime, we have seen perhaps customer onboarding through first pen and paper and registers to then printers to then single fingerprint or a picture, everything and everything being available at just one click. How do you think AI and ML would be effective and help? And what are the sort of trends, particularly with reference to customer onboarding?
Today, when you look at the complete digital process, artificial intelligence and machine learning plays a very important role, Sumit. One is till you should have n number of data to run an ML and to convert that into rather than you manpower getting involved, it is AI which come to play. Just to give an example, of late we have introduced a solution for our co-applicants. Normally, what happens, because I come from a secure lending, sometimes and the kind of customers we work with are basically from the rural area where you don't find the co-applicants together. So what we had done initially, we used to get those photographs on the WhatsApp and all that, and we started used to doing that, which was not technically or legally viable. So we had initiated a technology where we initiate a link, it goes to the customer, it takes the selfie of that with the geolocation captured, and it comes to us. There, what we do, the KYC data, what we have captured, the PID data, what we have captured, where it comes to the photograph, that we match it with the liveness check and see that we come to a particular score and start feeding in the data. So that's where your artificial intelligence plays an important role for us, in especially when you come to digital onboarding. Post digital onboarding, when you talk about the underwriting process, because AI, once it's done, it comes to the underwriting, where underwriting plays a very, very important role by building a BRE engine where we collect n number of data points, whether it's account aggregator or your KYC data, your financials and everything. So instead of a manual person getting involved and doing it, you're into artificial intelligence. For example, I'll give an example like account aggregator. Now, account aggregator, to do a bank statement analyzer, it takes almost 30 to 40 minutes time to just to get an Excel sheet out of it. But after introducing this account aggregator and bringing in the business statement analyzer, this has drastically reduced. So the data points accuracy comes up. There's no manual intervention, and your decision is fast. When you look at customer onboarding and the customer CX point of view, customer always wants things to happen in a proper way, and our underwriting team should have a proper data so that all this will not lead to a delinquency. End of the day, if you don't have things in place, things gets into a delinquency part where your NP and all that comes into picture. So, and we are trying to build an BRE engine using artificial engine, especially not the BRE, the EWS, the early warning signal, especially for the collections team, where a customer with us for more than 5 years, 3 years, 2 years, depending on his payment repayment schedule, the movement, the number of times he changes job. So we are taking some APIs from EPFO and all that. Using this, we have analyzed and come to know that this particular customer tends to become an NPA or a delinquent customer in next 1 year's time or 6 months. Though it may not be practically possible, but to a level you can come to a conclusion. So AI plays a very important, and to have AI, you need to have more of data to run an ML, because without data, you cannot run an ML. So right now in a secured lending, this is where the phase we are maintaining it, and artificial intelligence has taken a big role, especially when it comes to underwriting and digital onboarding of the customer.
Oh, that's pretty helpful. I think the early warning systems that you talked about, it's all about future predicting what's likely to happen, and there a lot of data and trends are being picked up, which will continue to help shape decisions.
In addition to it, I would like to give an example of how companies are putting effort in terms of personalizing the content. So what content maybe or what product is suitable for you may not suitable for me. Basis that analysis, again, there's a AI touch in the background wherein we are actually or data is actually looking at and then suggesting you what particular product you're fitting into. Or content personalization is again a big part wherein companies are putting a lot of effort saying this is how they are going to pitch the product or the next line of product what they are going to introduce. So that is again
AI bots are playing a very important role, especially for the onboarding of the customers, for the unsecured loan kind of thing. AI bots, because they understand the sentiments of the customer, the requirement, they do a lot of scripting and all that, come to a particular product and help the customer to get the things. And so the business is more of AI driven these days.
I mean, there was a discussion earlier in the day where the comment was about, will it lead us to a situation where human intervention is almost completely irrelevant and unnecessary? There are different schools of thought on that. And Dominic, since we are speaking, where do you stand on that? Is AI going to replace in the future the intelligence that is gathered by manual face-to-face interaction and so on?
To an extent, yes, but not to that 100% it can take over, because you need to have a human touch there. We as Indians, we still prefer to have a human touch. Again, when I talk about the examples of the customers we work, they still want my team to go there, sales team to go, or they want to come to the branch and do a document signing. Though we pay artificial intelligence, digital technology, onboarding, TAT, cut down on your fraud and all those things, customers still prefer, their confidence comes into them when they walk into. So it more works in a hybrid model, cannot take over the human.
Also, just that reminds me, 100% kind of utilization of AI or maybe digitization is Uber. They don't have any call center team. It's all, chat-based query resolution methods which they have. So some companies maybe they initiated, but we are yet to reach there, because India is a part of, everybody needs human touch some or other way to sell any kind of product.
Fair?
So I'll validate Sumit one point, the point of 100% elimination of the complete process. I think that in my views it will take some more time. That's what we used to call the term called phygital. Okay. For example, in our case, I don't know about other companies also, everything will be available, score, credit worthiness, all the things we reported. Ultimately, there is a team. They will just see whether that can be taken or not. Even we used to pay sometimes a loan if the credit CIBIL score is less. Because based on some other parameters, sometimes manual intervention is required.
Yeah, and Dr. Raveendran, actually, I'm in that camp as well. And Jitendra is about to say something, but may I just ask you to hold for a second? And the reason for that is I'm gonna, I think Honey is making some gestures about leaving. Thank you for joining us. So we'll continue our discussion. Sorry,
Yeah.
Jitendra, you want
I
to
was just want to make a point. We have been hearing this discussion a lot on human touch, not human touch. I just want to give you one information point. One of the leading finance companies today, I'm not giving the name of the company, but I'm just giving you a principle. Well, one of the leading finance company who believes in a traditional method of customer relationship management by meeting them and their birthdays, going out with them, calling them for a cup of tea, has become the highest market capitalization. The price has gone up almost 6 times in the last 3 years. That showed, and that is not only the price, even the profitability. So it's, after all, the customer is a human being. Whatever technology you use, do not lose a touch with him, because he or she is going to give you multiple businesses depending on the comfort level he has with you as a company, as emotional content.
Yeah, I think it's a fairly I won't say touchy subject, but something which a lot of people find close to their heart, and they are fairly strong views, as we have just seen across the panel. There are multiple examples of organizations that are technologically very savvy, extremely good at what they do, and very effective. Yet, as you can just pointed out, they bring in certain aspects of human relations, if I may call that, or human touch, which sets them apart in some shape or the other. So I think the jury is still out. I don't know what way we will be 15, 20 years from now, but at the moment, I think there is certainly some value to it. But anyway, we digress. Akshay, if I could ask you to talk a bit about frauds and the problems that typically many lenders face when customers are not kosher, and how technology or digitization is generally helping us. And again, feel free to bring in any thoughts that you may have from, not saying from a policy perspective, but certainly that you've observed at a macro level.
See, frauds is something that we all are living with, whether it is related to identity, it is related to my phone being swapped with somebody, or OTP getting compromised, and then there are other related aspects. But I will focus on identity only because the whole process or the starting point of the journey for any customer is confirming who he or she is. We work on the law, we work on the concept of verifying what you know, what you have, and what you are. In any of these three indices, that is what everybody wants to evaluate you about. So, in the spectrum of things, I think one of the challenging aspects is identity-related financial frauds. They are now a little on the rise, and we all are dealing with it. One of the aspects that is, being put into force is simplifying the verification itself by making it as simple as possible for anybody to use it. So, reference to context. There are around about 141, if I remember correctly, notified NBFCs in India. 27 are already on face authentication. I am putting it with a specific purpose. 51 are in the process of onboarding on face authentication. For what reason? We wanted to, the OTP option is already there. The biometric in terms of fingerprint validation is already there. But now you want to get personal. The point that we just discussed. So you've got an option which is VSIP, which is already there, where a little amount of AI is already built into it, but you want to simplify it further, that I am holding a mobile where I capture my image that gets validated from a database which is held with UIDI, and that KYC process can go. And this aspect of liveliness, of capture of a particular individual, that is as part of the KYC, cannot be manipulated by anybody. So this is what you're looking at. Now, what does it get you? It gets you access to those areas which, again, I will quote to context what I mentioned initially, where education is a differentiating factor. So here I'm only playing with the image. So it becomes easier for me to kind of, get onboarded, verify my credentials. If you now link it to something which we all are used to, and I will not take names, one of the payment apps uses a green and a red signal for the payment transaction to go through. It is a big kind of a positive factor for everybody to use that app, for the simple reason it is so simple. So this is something that we need to look into, because as times are changing, liveliness is a factor that you want to build into validation, but not compromising on simplicity. And the last part that I would mention related to this is that it is gaining momentum because acceptability for the crowd, for the gentlemen and ladies here, we've all used Digi Yatra, reference to context. De facto, that image is in your mobile, not with us. Your validation for onboarding was through a OTP auth, and you carry it in your pockets, and every time now you go to Mumbai airport, 1 here and 2 there, you're looking at that Digi Yatra line to break away the queues. So it is this simplicity factor, if it can be brought into KYC, and which is what the industry is going towards, I think it will reduce, you can't do away with frauds, but you have to be 2 steps ahead of people who are wanting to manipulate and cause or create issues related to fraud.
Brilliant point. Ultimately, for all the complexities in technology, the outcome needs to be very simple and effective, and that's what makes it good. You're gonna add something, please?
While onboarding the customer, the digitization, no, I think whether it is a agreement, I'll give you an example. Agreement, no, whether it is wet signature or digital signature and all, why it is important, no, I'll give one example. One of our branches, customer signed using a disappearing ink. Can you imagine, no, he just signed the agreement using a disappearing ink. After 1 week, no, when somebody reviewing for audit and all, no, there is no signatures in the agreement at all. I'm just giving an example. The fraud aspect, whether adverted or inadvertent, we don't know. But I think it is our interest now to safeguard the company, in all aspects. There, the digital onboarding, digitalization in all aspects. See, KYC AML, it is very, very important now as per RBI. So we have to capture all the data, otherwise RBI will catch hold of us. So fraud management in all aspects, whether insurance is renewed or not, it is our responsibility to verify. Sometimes they'll give a wrong number, everything and all. So everything now APIs are available, you can get it verified. That's the point I want to add, Sumit.
Please, go ahead, Jitendra.
I just want to bring in one more aspect which may not be known to all of us here because that's an emerging area, and that is the data privacy law. I am involved in the data privacy law implementation in my company, so I have told the business folks that by 31st of March 2025, you have to stop taking these physical documents from the customer and have to go eKYC across the board. Whatever may your technical challenges, you sort it out, because this whole government of India focus on data privacy means the data of the customer cannot be available at Tom, Dick and Harry and not be protected. So if you are not moving to eKYC, if you are not moving to customer onboarding, then a day will come when the data protection office will analyze and find out that the information was not protected very strongly in your company. And you cannot control 300 branches and 10,000 people, what are they doing? So this is becoming an imperative. The faster we get on to it, the better it is for the company.
Please, go ahead.
Adding on.
You're just making my job easy.
Yeah, sorry. So since the DP is a very interesting topic and the industry is kind of moving towards adapting to it, in consent managers now becoming a prime commodity because they are going to set up this whole framework. So when you kind of look at it from a different perspective, that as of now we are still maintaining very limited control on our data, and we are wanting to move towards digitization. So if there is this balance is broken, that is where the gap will be. Take for example, and I will quote again very simple examples. Each one of us has kind of we've activated some payment acceptance related to our cards. Every month we get a notification and it keeps on getting debited till the time suddenly somebody's wife or husband, whoever's proactive, asks you where's the money going. Now you look at it from a very different aspect. We came here, somebody would have asked us for a document, and I'm adding to Jitendra's point. So you would go to one of the hotels, and I'm not referring to where we are. They'll ask you, give me a copy of your Aadhaar card, your PAN card, or your driving license, and we will be very happy to give it. We will not bat an eyelid. We will not scratch it. And here goes the access control of the data, which was initially in my pocket, which I've given to somebody. Other part of this control is also with regards to the consent that you give, the point that I made initially. So right now the focus of DP is to build in a mechanism where not only your consent is managed, but the manner in which this consent is then kind of recorded and controlled by the data fiduciary. That part is what is of most importance. And this is where the worry lies in terms of penalization. So the sensitivity that DP is something we need to be alive to. Why we need to be alive to? Data is as good as water. If you can channelize and control it, it will be to your benefit and you'll generate some electricity or digital value out of it. If you can't control it, there is a likely situation for floods coming in and ruining what you've been.
Great analogy. Jitendra, if I could ask you to sort of talk about a slightly different perspective here. Most of the people sitting here are practitioners in the industry. And if there are any words of advice when we want to incorporate a new technology or change our existing process or system, based on your experience of doing multiple such changes, what would be the inputs that you might provide?
I think that's a very valid question, and I would share my experience. I can go on this subject for half an hour only because I have done 4 systems, but I'll just put
you have 2 minutes.
Paucity of time of 1 minute. I'll just put 3 or 4 points, and that's very important for all of us to know. Number 1 is don't go overboard and start redesigning your entire application. We tend to transformation करना है भाई लोग तो सब कुछ बदल डालो. Don't do that mistake. Look at the process. Look at what can be automated using digital. There are a lot of API calls have come now available in the market through fintechs and Government of India stack. So look at them, which can replace your manual process by an automated process of an API call. And once you have gone through the entire process, look at also whether you have got enough of technical expertise to to develop that system. Do not, I have seen the vendors when we selected who had a domain expertise of NBFC 5-6 application, they were very prompt in doing a good job when they did the redevelopment of the application. So number one, don't change your entire system or do bit by bit looking at API calls. Do not take to a vendor who doesn't have the past expertise, however may his brand value. Also keep your customer in mind. If you want to expand to a 3-tier city and you want to go totally onboarded by OCR, be careful because the customer out there will stop using your company because ye nahi chalta, mere se nahi hone wala. So keep in mind your customer. And fourth thing is keep in mind controls and compliances. Because in order to go overboard on digitization, we forget the security aspect and the compliance aspect, and that hits us hard later. So I think for paucity of time, I'll stop you.
I think that's great. Great crisp points over there for anybody who's looking to bring in any change or redesign your process. Dominic, if I could ask if you have anything to add to this question from your experience. This is just before we close, and then we'll ask for some Q&A.
I agree with Jitin sir, because transformation is nothing that you take out everything and bring in new one. So you should understand where you want, what has to be digitized, because you need to look at from the business point of view and the adoption, customer requirement, all that is very important. So most of the points is covered, and that's one of the things which really highlighted me to carry forward when I'm rolling out new kind of technology. That's very important for us to analyze what is required, not just blindly roll out things. That's very important.
Awesome. So I think you're getting some fairly clear indicators from very well respected and established practitioners that while making certain changes are good, be aware of what is it that you're trying to solve, and so on. I know that we don't have too much more time, and lights flashing in front of us kind of tell us as much. But I do believe that we'll have some time for questions from the audience, if there are any. So if there are questions, could I request for the mic to be given to the gentleman there? If you could state your name and where you're from, and then if you have a question for the panel or anyone in particular.
Yeah. So my name is Tejas Gujar. So I represent Manipal Business Solutions. So we are into a phygital journey, especially for the KYC piece. So here I totally agree with the panel when they said 100% digitalization will take time, and I believe that phygital journey can bridge this gap. So currently for onboarding, for KYC piece, there are two journeys. For example, one is OSV, you see the document, and second one followed is video KYC. But what we have seen is, as compared to banks as well as NBFCs, still there is a gap. So for in terms of video KYC, there is about 20 to 30% failure rate, which we see in most of the banks and NBFCs. Whereas in terms of OSV, it's totally a physical journey where you need to call the customer to your branch, or you need to visit the customer and take their signature. So why not, as banks are currently doing a phygital journey, which is a biometric KYC, which is an alternate face-to-face verification. But my question here is, why are still NBFCs not going for biometric KYC? Because what I have seen is only 10 to 12 NBFCs currently have a KOA license. So why NBFCs are not taking that phygital journey? So anyone from the panel can answer.
Actually, most of you take my company as an example. I think our customers are in the subprime segment. I can mention in my company point of view only. See, the education level of the truck operators. They are truck operators or single owners sort of thing. So getting your question is getting a video KYC or no? Can you just clarify that?
So my question basically was, so there is video KYC and other is OSV. In video KYC, there is a failure rate.
Correct.
So banks, what they do is, they have a KOA license, and banks do biometric KYC. So what they do is, instead of video KYC or OSV, they share and send an agent to the doorstep of the customer to complete the biometric KYC. and they have a KUA license for that. But in terms of NBFCs are still not adopting the biometric KYC piece. Only 12 NBFCs or 13 NBFCs have a KUA license. They don't have access to UIDAI, and that's why they are not able to use the biometric KYC piece. So my question here was, why are NBFCs reluctant in using the biometric KYC? Why are still they either doing OSV or video KYC? Why not have a middleware or a phygital channel?
No, I answered the question already. In our company, because of that awareness and the education level sort of thing and all, we follow that conventional way of doing that part. So that's the case with many of the NBFCs also. Maybe the tier 1 NBFCs, many companies, they may adopt that actually. And video KYC is not compulsory as of now for NBFCs. That's why they are not taking up that. But we follow, because a CERSAI based thing is very authentic actually. The CISO number, that it is mandatory for us, that we follow based on the PAN and Aadhaar number.
Thank you. Yes, Jitendra ji.
I will give you a little bit of some numbers to reference, and I made the statement in one of the queries that I was answering. Point that you said there are 9 or 10 NBFCs doing biometric authentication. That number I will give you for Bombay, 9 of them. So we have 9 of them with us here. There are around about 51 which are in the process. When you say face authentication, it's a form of biometric authentication. Now, apologies, Sumit. We all have got over the euphoria of GFF, and one of the important points, and that's why I said apologies. One of the important points and launches there was eKYC Setu, if you remember correctly. One of the premises of eKYC Setu is to get all RBI regulated entities who are finding it difficult to get onboarded because of certain financial aspects on biometric authentication into some form of authentication, that is OTP authentication. That is what the initiative that is being taken. Again, reference to context, all the NBFCs which are now getting their approval from RBI are mandatorily being onboarded on authentication from the outset itself, and they are making their journeys digital from the outset itself. They are trying to break away, and in fact they are breaking away more vis-a-vis conventional banks, that they are reducing their scaling requirement for brick and mortar branches by doing a balance, by enhancing the amount of scalability that they are putting in on making the journeys digital. I hope able to give you some clarity.
Thank you. Thank you so much, panel members. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for this wonderful panel here on customer onboarding and digital KYC, transforming the credit and experience. And now I would like to call on stage Mr. Sanjay Shenoy, Head Partnerships from Trust, our valued partner. Sanjay, if you could kindly be on stage and felicitate our wonderful panel of experts. We'll start first with Mr. Dominic Vijay Kumar from Art Housing Finance. A big round of applause to Mr. Dominic Vijay Kumar for his wonderful contribution in the panel session. Moving next to Dr. N. Raveendran from Sakthi Finance. A big round of applause to Dr. N. Raveendran for his wonderful contribution in the panel session. Moving next to Mr. Jitendra Jadhwani from Tata Motors Finance. A big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, to Mr. Jitendra Jadhwani for his wonderful contribution in the panel. Moving next to Mr. Akshay Yadava from UIDAI. A big round of applause to Akshay ji for his wonderful contribution in the panel session. And now our honorable moderator for this panel, Mr. Sumit Sharma, founder and director from Radian Finserv. A big round of applause to Sumit ji for his wonderful contribution in the panel session. And now I would request if all the panel members can kindly come forward for a group photograph. And Sanjay, if you could also join them. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the customer onboarding and digital KYC panel. A big thank you from our side to all the esteemed panel members.